China produces nearly 60% of the world's rare earth and processes almost 90% of the world's rare earth. April 2025, they restricted export of their rare earth.
China has a stranglehold on the supply chain of rare earth. What is of interest to us at Chara is the rare earth-based magnets. Neodymium, ferrous, boron magnets. They need 4 rare earths to make them magnetic. Today, the only way to build an efficient motor is using the rare earth-based magnets or PMSM motor. There is no other technology that is deployed.
You started Chara in 2019. So building in DeepTech wasn't cool. How did you get the conviction?
Climate change is the biggest threat to mankind. We started Chara, the larger opportunity was the energy transition. We were moving from hydrocarbons to electrons. So we all got together. We literally started building the motors by hand. The technology we developed has become a reality and we're shipping against revenue.
A lot of DeepTech startups raised pre-seed or Series A rounds. But we still don't have investors who can come in Series B, Series C.
The onus is on people like us saying that, look, this is a business now.
Hi Bhaktha, welcome to the Neon Show.
Thanks, Nancy.
I'm really excited for this conversation. I feel I'm going to learn a lot about DeepTech. This is the first podcast I'm doing in DeepTech.
Oh, is it? Okay,
yeah.
Great.
So Bhaktha, let's start the conversation with China. China produces nearly 60% of the world's rare earth and processes almost 90% of the world's rare earth, right?
Yes.
So they clearly have a monopoly in rare earth. But in April 2025, they restricted export of their rare earth. So what impact did it create on the world? What happened in April 2025?
Yeah. So just to take a step back, you're absolutely right. China has a stranglehold on the supply chain of rare earth-based products to be specific, like magnets and a bunch of other things. They did an embargo on the export of rare earth-based magnets and a few other components in April of 25. So that led to shutting down several companies all around the world. In our case, what is of interest to us at Chara is the rare earth-based magnets. Neodymium, ferrous, boron magnets. They need 4 rare earths to make them magnetic. China just stopped the export of that. This led to the closure of companies in the US, in Europe, and some of them really get near to closure. And I think at least one large automotive company in India shipped far less products, 2-wheelers and 3-wheelers, that particular quarter. So it was a massive disruption. The unfortunate thing or the reality is that today, the only way to build an efficient motor is using the rare earth-based magnets. It's called PMSM motor. There's no other technology that is deployed. And that's why it is super critical, and that led to a lot of heartburn all over the world.
And what kind of companies shut down?
Primarily automotive companies, because they all are EV automotive,
EV.
be precise. That is primary. But even the regular cars, I mean the internal combustion, the petrol, diesel cars, they have a lot of motors which use the ND-FEP magnets. So they were also in trouble. The last one I know of is the speakers and earphones manufacturers. Though you might not know, speakers and earphones have magnets in them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So they are also ND-FEP magnets. So all of them were in trouble. The Apple iPhone production, which happens somewhere here, right? They were in trouble. So all of them were in trouble. So China has a big control over the supply chains. This is somewhat similar to the oil embargo that happened I think in the 70s.
Can you talk about that? Like what happened?
So just like rare earths, the Gulf has the bulk of the petroleum. It's become less now, but in the 70s and 80s, they were the only producers because they got cheap oil, good quality oil. And because of some political problems, again, Gulf announced the shutdown of their supply. And everybody in the world felt it. And there are pictures of miles-long queue in the US in front of petrol bunks. Same thing. For a long time, thousands of years, civilizations have depended on some material. I think it was steel, copper, bronze. I think in the recent memory, it became coal, the industrialization phase. Then it became oil. And I strongly believe that the next civilization will be built on rare earths. Whoever controls the rare earths will have an upper hand. Not that all the others will die, but they will have control. And that's why this is so critical.
Apart from China, which one is the next country that is like China produces 60% of rare earth?
Correct.
What's the other country?
So if you look at the ore, right? So it's a little bit more complex. So there are 17 elements which are called rare earths. They occur in the bottom of the periodic table. I know a lot of us skipped the chemistry class or slipped through it. This is karma.
We'll try to understand.
This is karma catching up. It is critical for many applications. Out of that, half are called light rare earths. The other half are called heavy rare earths, just depending on the atomic weight. Now, China has close to 50% of the known ore in this world. Then I think it is Brazil. Incidentally, India is the third largest, but it's a much smaller number. I don't think that number matters. What matters is also that we need to have ores which both supply heavy rare earths and light rare earths. And China, for again some sheer geographical luck, has both. The other thing is that these by the way, rare earths are called so not because they are expensive or they are rare. Gold and silver, platinum are rare. These rare earths are there everywhere. It is rare because the concentration of the ore, of the minerals in the ore is very small. So just to set an example, right? If you take 1 ton of iron ore, you actually get 500 kilograms of iron. If you take 1 ton of gold ore, you get about 6 plus or minus 1 gram of gold. If you take 1 ton of rare earth, you get 1 gram of rare earth, 1 gram of rare earth mineral. That is why they are called rare. It's extremely difficult to extract.
The extraction process is...
Yeah. So first is the mining, right? First is the availability, then is the mining. Mining is easier, you just dig it out, right? The second part is the extraction. You have to extract the rare earth minerals out of the ore, and that is extremely hazardous. Every ton of rare earth minerals extraction generates 2,000 tons of radioactive waste. It is radioactive because, again, for chemical reasons, the uranium and thorium occur with rare earths. So the waste that is when you extract neodymium and dysprosium has uranium and thorium. So there are cancer villages in China on the west coast. All the prosperity is on the east coast in China. All the dirty things happen in the middle.
Something we don't talk about.
We don't talk about. Yeah, we don't talk about. And then there is that is the second part. The third part is actually making the magnets in our case, and whatever is the other application. That also is closely guarded by China. The processes and the machinery for extraction and making the final application magnets in our case, both China introduced an embargo about 3 years ago on the export of that machinery, long before they actually did the embargo on the rare earth magnets. And they've also stopped the people from going outside. People who have knowledge in China, they're not allowed to go outside China. So China knows.
The game.
So it is sometime in the early 90s, 91 or 92, there was, I hope I got the name right, Deng Xiaoping was the premier of China. I think they're called the premier, right? The chief. He stood in Tiananmen Square. Tiananmen Square is that capital, right?
Yeah.
Like our Rashtrapati Bhavan or something. I've never been to Beijing.
Yeah.
I've been to other parts of China. So he stood in Tiananmen Square and said, Gulf has oil, China has rare earths. And this was 35 years ago. So it's a long process. They have invested, and that is why now they are what we call as weaponizing it. And we all have to be careful. Actually, for me personally, after we sold Ezetap, I was trying to figure out what to do next. So the thing that triggered me was the Deng Xiaoping's address in Tiananmen Square. The other thing was there is this island called Senkaku Island between China and Japan. So I didn't know China and Japan were enemies politically, right? So they're huge enemies. some fishing trawler from Chinese fishing trawler crossed some imaginary international border. The Japanese guys arrested them, and China stopped the export of rare earths to Japan. Japan took about 72 hours to release them. That's all. That's why they have that control. Japan was the first country that was affected by this ban, and I believe that they are in a far better position now because they have diversified. They figured out what to do. They are in a slightly better position than all the other countries now. Other countries, because they got hit in 2010.
Okay.
They have 15 years to prepare.
Yeah,
they have 15 years to prepare. Now, this was known problem. When we started in late 2019 November, this was a known problem. It's just that people are not paying attention.
And now we can talk about Chara and how everything is connected, whatever we discussed just now, right?
Yeah. So we started Chara in late 2019. The larger opportunity was what we call as the energy transition. We are moving from hydrocarbons to electrons, mainly to combat the climate change, sustainability. Climate change is the biggest threat to mankind, not anything else. So there are a bunch of opportunities that are being solved. Electricity is the only known source of clean energy today. Easy to produce, easy to transmit, easy to store, batteries and all that. But the big advantage of electricity is that at the point of consumption, it's completely pollution free. When you turn on in the electric stove, when you turn on your motor, there's no pollution. That's the beauty of it. Now, so the huge opportunity, that's why we are electrifying, huge opportunities. We looked at various parts of this value chain, and then we looked at the motors. There are three problems for India specifically. One is that we were not building motors and controllers in a good way. Even today, a lot of things are imported, whether rare earth magnets or not. We said we need to do something from India, build the Bharat motor. Second thing was the rare earths. So we that time 6 years ago, we said that rare earth is a problem. It was difficult to convince people. Half the people said, we don't understand what you're talking. At least that problem is not there since 10 months. We don't have to explain why we do what we do. And the third one is sustainability. We need to build a sustainable motor. Apart from all other problems, rare earths are not sustainable. They're extremely dirt. And these were the three reasons why we started this. And nobody had deployed it. Everything is rare earth-based magnets, motors. There were other technologies that were being looked into. There's a class of motors called reluctance motors. Which was known technology, but nothing had been deployed for various reasons. They're highly non-linear, difficult to control, power density problems, torque ripple, they were noisy. So what we have done is that for the first 3 to 4 years, we did fundamental R&D in motor technology, hardware architectures, and critically the software algorithms that control the motor. Apart from all these things, India as a society, as a country, we have not invested in core technologies. We're a net importer, right?
Yeah.
To put it very even conservatively.
Yeah.
And this was my last kind of gig. And I said we should do something that has not been done anywhere in the world. Deploy it in India and then take it to the world. The last thing I want to add is that given my age, now we see that India is a big enough market. We can introduce a new technology, a new product, deploy it in India, and then take it to the world. I think all these things were coming together, and that's how we started Chara. Yeah. By the way, Chara stands for motion in Sanskrit.
Okay, Chara means motion.
Motion, like Charaka.
Okay.
Yeah, we are building motors came from the word motion.
Yeah.
And we are building a new kind of motor. We wanted to give a new name, an Indian name. Yeah.
So like you said that for 200 years, engineers would know about reluctance motors, right? They would, but they are cost efficient, they are rare earth free, but they would vibrate a lot, they would make a lot of noise. And there was one more thing.
They are highly difficult to control. Non-linearity.
Yeah, you can't, they can't produce consistent force.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
Because they're non-linear.
But how did you figure it out?
So that's what, so the software, so control systems. So
it's not just hardware, it's software
Yeah.
also, right?
Actually, if you Google or search on the internet for reluctance motors, they're usually called software controlled motors. So if we look at control systems theory, right, there are linear systems and non-linear systems. Linear systems are equal inputs, equal increases in input will give you corresponding equal increases in output. Non-linear systems are not so. You do something in the input, it will do something in the output. Noise,
Yeah.
whatever, different torque and all that. So this is classic control system problem. The one way to solve it is use precise software control algorithms which operate at a very high speed and control the motor at a very fine level. And this has been done for many, many applications. Because we have now processing power rather cheap and runs at high speed, we are able to control. And that's one more thing that came together.
And you have said it in some of the interviews that the hardware technology, it can be reverse engineered,
Yep.
right? It's the software
Yep.
that you have to
Yeah, yeah.
know that
So we have
without the software you can't, operate this hardware
Absolutely.
part, right?
Absolutely.
So how are you protecting that?
So we have started supplying motors now. We ship about a few hundred motors to mostly customers in India and a couple of customers outside India too, because rare earth is a worldwide problem. So when we supply the motor and the controller. Motor can be reverse engineered. I know we have patents, but it's difficult to protect. Hardware also can be reverse engineered. But the software which is there, we will lock it down with known technologies. So they can only execute but not see. Incidentally, this I learned from Ezetap. Because Ezetap is a fintech company.
Yes.
There were a lot of certifications.
Hardware, software.
Yeah, same thing. All those things were just applied to this. Yeah.
What did you exactly learn from Ezetap?
Ezetap, what we learned is that we built that device, the MPOS device. So one of the things and it has to be certified by very stringent standards. It's called PCA PTS. Incidentally, nobody else in India has ever passed that standard. Ezetap was the first one and the last one. Nobody else know because we don't build hardware, right? So there, one of the requirement is that an outside person should not be able to see the software running in the payment terminal. Because if they're able to see, they can change it. The simple change is I put 100 rupees and they can make it 1,000 rupees and send it. So they had very stringent requirements on what we call as, you cannot even look. So it's called peek. You can't peek and you can't poke also. That means I can't go and change it. So you can neither peek nor poke. It will just execute. And we have the same problem. I want my motor to run, but you should not be able to peek, know what is happening, or poke. That's all. It's very simple. Same problem.
You started Chara in 2019. So building in DeepTech wasn't cool. The DeepTech sector was not hot.
Yes.
Investors were not cutting checks for DeepTech startups. Like, how did you get the conviction? How did you convince others to, build in this category?
Yeah. So always, before starting a business, the old classical thing, right? Identify the problem, and it should be a real problem. We identified the problem, the rare earth problem, and the designed and manufactured in India motor sustainability. I think those were very clear. But building and convincing the investors was an extremely hard task, because half the people we spoke to, typically investors and customers, did not care because people had still not realized the importance of the problem. We always used to say, and we still say, it's not that China is good or bad. They will do whatever is good for them. We would also do the same thing, right? So it was difficult to convince. And DeepTech was not exactly the darling of the investors that time. It has changed now, by the way, which is an amazing thing for this country.
Yeah.
Now, when I go to events, I see people working on hydrogen storage and protein batteries, all weird.
The government, deregulating ISRO,
Yes.
the biggest move you could think of.
This government is doing all the right things as far as these things are concerned. So it was, there is no other way to do this, Nancy. We just had to do it hard, selling. We spoke to a lot of investors. I think the first break we got was the Indian Institute of Science, the premier institute of this country. They gave
The 25 lakh.
they gave a small grant. At least it was recognition. The money was big then; it's not so big now. But we got the recognition saying that this is a problem that needs to be solved. One of the few people who understood. Then IIM Ahmedabad Ventures, they invest in kind of crazy startups like this. They also came in.
Which year they came in?
20, that's what I'm trying to do. 21. They actually came in 2019 end. I still remember, 2020 end. I still remember after Diwali. Then they come with that time it was, if I remember right, it was like a 100K, 60 lakhs check. But we told them gently that if I want to do something substantial in this one, I need $1 million. Because you have to prove, right, build. It's not easy. It's not a piece of software which I can sit alone and do it. And so we held them at bay. Then we convinced Kalari. There was a partner called Ravinder Singh. He invested in a lot of the DeepTech companies at Kalari. He invested in us. He understood what we were doing. He's also an engineer. He teaches at Harvard and all that. Incidentally, we asked him 3 years later. So I know it's very difficult to convince investors, but we also have fun. After 3 years later, we always, typically, at least I like to ask the question. So if you're an investor, I know it takes forever to convince you, reluctantly you put their money. It's all fine, no problem. 3 years later, I'll ask you the question. So tell me, why did you invest?
Why did you invest?
Why did you invest, right?
We ask our founders, why did you take money? Because we have invested in 60 companies. 30 of them are started by second-time founders. So our LPs ask her, why are second-time founders like who have sold their second companies to public companies in US are taking money from a smaller fund like Neon? So we have to go back to our second-time founders. Just give us a clear, honest answer. Why did you take money?
Yeah. We asked Ravinder Singh in a public forum, actually, why did you invest in us, Ravi? There was like complete silence. He thought for, I should have recorded 15 seconds approximately.
Best answers come after that silence.
He said only one word, geopolitics.
Geopolitics.
And that is when we realized that that's our game. Geopolitics is our game.
You also mentioned somewhere you also started with this same insight.
Yes.
And then, you thought that you want to do something for the country also, yes. Right?
Yeah.
So both the things combined.
Yeah. No, doing for the country is one thing. As I said, we need to do new things that has not been done anywhere in the world. That was wanted that feather in the cap. So that was one more reason why we wanted to start Chara. But now, of course, there are a lot of other companies working on really cool stuff, especially in the sustainability space, which I think is a huge opportunity for the next 2-3 decades.
But do you think India is doing enough relevant work in climate, or we are still in very, very early?
So there is plenty of good work going on. I don't think we've seen the results of it yet.
Yeah.
But I think we'll see it in the next. And the reality is that whatever we do has a long gestation period.
Yeah.
Right?
Unlike software businesses.
Yeah, 7 years, 10 years. So you'll see a bunch of those things in the next several years. Like when we go online with a lot of motors, then a bunch of other companies, they're working on other kind of batteries, hydrogen storage. I think we'll see quite a bit. Now, but you're coming back to your question, are we doing enough? No, it's never enough. Because I think sustainability is a big problem. I also think, I have no proof, Earth is also a non-linear system. It is taking a lot of beating from us. When the climate goes bad, it won't gradually go bad. I think there will be a disaster. I think, but nobody knows. Climate is a complex system, right? But I have that suspicion that every time we are slowly destroying the climate, right? So it's like almost like the frog in the boiling pan. The temperature slowly starts going up and the frog still lives.
Like one of the things can be extracting hard water from the ground in Bangalore's example.
Yeah.
Like those type of things.
Those type of things we are slowly destroying. But I think the destruction will come in a very big fashion sometime soon. I hope not, but
what are the other things that we are doing wrong as society ecosystem?
So the fundamental problem with us now is, with all humans, is that we are spending way too much energy to live. That is the problem. That energy has to come from somewhere, whether it's the houses, the air conditioning, jump into a car and go from point A to point B. It's just energy. Energy has to come from somewhere. Today it is coming principally from burning hydrocarbons. And that is what is creating all the problems. So there are two ways to solve this problem. First one, it's not possible. We all become very nice and start, living like sages.
Yeah.
And that would automatically solve the problem. Unfortunately, that's not a possibility even for me. I'm used to this riches, this energy riches, right? The technology solution is to find a cleaner source of energy. Electricity is the only one now. And that is why I think that's why it's a huge opportunity. Generation, transmission, selling, consumption, like motors. It's a huge opportunity. And that is where the opportunity is.
Do we have startups solving that in India?
So in terms of batteries, there is some research going on, but not enough, I strongly believe.
Okay.
So there are, I think, 3 or 4 technologies that every country should possess now. One is nuclear. The other is semiconductors, which India is now starting. Hopefully, we'll make a good job out of it. The third one is batteries, which India still does not have any production capacity. I know they're all coming up, but as of now, every cell that is used in India is imported from outside. And the last one is rare earths. And now I think the AI LLMs have been added. I mean, that's why the LLMs are critical.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of money.
In last year, DeepTech was the hottest.
Yeah.
Now AI is the hottest. And
but all these things will be there. Semiconductors will not go away. Batteries will not go away. Rare earths will not go away. AI will not go away. Nuclear will not go away. Yeah. I think these 5 technologies are critical. We have one, I think, which is nuclear. All the others, we are way behind. Yeah.
And let's go back to our journey in Chara. In 2019, you started with Maha and Ravi.
Yes.
And let's just talk about the first year. Like, what all did you do? Because 6 years in total were spent in research before the product came live.
Yes.
So how was the first year? Like, imagine you, Ravi and Maha are in the room trying to figure out or revive the 200-year-old technology.
Yeah. No, so we knew the principles correctly. Just so that you know, I don't know anything about motors. For me, motor was this round thing with a shaft which turns when you apply current or something. So first thing I has to find a person who understands motors just like in all its detail. Not only understand, he is ready to build. So there are people who understand, there are people who build, but we need both to do a startup. So I found Ravi. Ravi went to the same college as me, little earlier than me. I found him through the alumni network. I told him that, look, this magnet is a problem. And he said, you don't even have to tell me. His problem was that he knew exactly how the motor works, but he did not have the hardware or the software experience. So I write software. Maha was the hardware guy. So we all got together. We literally started building the motors by hand. We went to the machine shops, build motors. We assembled the hardware. I initially wrote all the software. I still love to do that, but I don't do that anymore. 2 reasons: I don't have time, and there are smarter, better, younger people doing that. And so for the first 2 years, we were building motors and running them. And unfortunately, it was COVID. So we started when COVID was also starting. So we were also stuck for a few months, I think, in wave 1. There were 3 distinct waves, right?
Yes.
Wave 1 was bad because we didn't know.
Super bad, yes.
So between wave 1, wave 2, we actually built some motors, started testing it. Then the wave 2 happened. Then everything got shut down. Wave 2, I think, was the worst wave. Then I think towards the end of 20, yes. Then I think slowly things started picking up. And somebody introduced us to IMA, and we got this one. But we also signed up our first customer in 21.
21.
Yeah. all over Zoom calls because nobody was traveling.
Which was this first customer?
So there is a company called PICL, which manufactures air conditioning equipment. They wanted to build a motor, and so we built one for them. And initially, our business plan was to build motors, but not manufacture. So I sell it to you, you manufacture, and we get the license fee.
Okay.
Yeah, we are asset light and all of that. So I come from a semiconductor background. I used to work for this large semiconductor company called Intel.
Okay.
And I had the opportunity to spend a couple of months in another large semiconductor company called ARM, based out of UK. ARM's business is amazing. They never build anything. They just do the models.
They are leaders in mobile, right?
Exactly. They're amazing. This is a $40 billion company last time I checked. All their revenues in licensing fees. So we wanted to be the arm of motors. We built but then as time progressed, we started building other motors. When we tried to sell them, we used to tell the same story, made in India, designed and made in India, rare earth free, sustainable motor. And they said, this is all good, give me the motor. And then we said, oh my God, we have to start manufacturing it. And I had never done manufacturing. I was born and brought up in the city. I'd never visited Pina. And this is a fact. Because I thought Pina there are some lathes and some whatever casting machines, who cares?
Yeah.
But now again, karma is catching up. So we now run a factory in Pina. So, and again, for good tailwinds, right? Manufacturing is getting a lot of support in India. Investors are investing. So that also we went to the investors and told them, look, we need to change our business model from licensing to manufacture, and they said yes. And now
this was before Kalari and Xfinity.
No, this was after Xfinity. After the second round. So that time we were all building and started selling. We tried to do that licensing thing. We worked with 3 large companies. Did not pan out, to put it bluntly. And that is when we said, no, we have to enter the business. So we became a classic product company. We build the products and sell it to our customers. Manufacturing is getting some support, both from the government and the investors now.
What kind of response you were getting from early adopters? Like any embarrassing moment you want to share?
Yeah. So we were telling the same story and this one. So the initial customers, we had a bunch of issues. The motors not starting, motors burning out, manufacturability issues were there. One of the difficult thing with reluctance motors is there is some difficulty in manufacturing. So there is something called an air gap between the rotor and the stator. The air gap is of tighter tolerance in reluctance motors, but not impossible. So we had to figure all those things out. I mean, with one of our deployments, the air gap became so small. It was working quite well. The smaller the air gap, it works really well. But the problem is when the air gap becomes very small, when the rotor turns at a higher speed, there are centrifugal forces which expand the rotor momentarily. It actually went and hit the stator. And it's very dangerous. And it's like, so we had all those issues. So we had to figure out all those problems. I think once we figured it out, then what we did was, I think we took a step back and we did a lot of testing by ourselves on 2-wheelers, 3-wheelers, on our own test rig. We ran for hours and hours at various temperatures, and we generated a lot of data and fixed all the problems. And now the customers like us because we do everything from first principles. So the level of support we can give is unmatched. And that's actually the main reason customers are coming to us.
And Greaves Cotton is one of your top customers, right?
Yeah, they're also a partner now. Yeah.
And they are one of the largest also, right?
Yes.
How many meetings did it take for them to, finally implement?
I'll tell you, we signed the agreement in the end of March of last year. Right? Incidentally, just a week before this whole thing broke out, this embargo of this one.
Yeah.
So took about 9 months, a long time, because it is a partnership agreement. They were also figuring out. We should also remember that when they signed, this rare earth was still not a known problem. So that's why they were like, oh, is this a real problem? How how big of a problem it is. They were not convinced. We were convinced, but they were not. That's why they took a long time. And in some way, they turned out to be lucky, because we signed and 3 days later, this thing happened. And everybody said, oh, you knew about this. And like, yeah, really? No, we did not know about this. But what we knew was that rare earth is a problem and China is going to create someday a problem. Just like the Gulf countries created the 1972 oil embargo. Anybody who has power will exercise it.
And what kind of response you got? Like China restricted the export and then suddenly you are sitting in the most important room of
Yeah.
India, right?
No, not that way. The first thing that the first thing that really helped us is made my job easier. I didn't have to tell people what is a rare earth. I have no offense to you. If I had spoken to this about 6 years ago, you would have wondered, like, what are you talking about? Yeah. So that is the biggest push we got. And customers, investors, future employees, same thing, right? Our 3 critical segments. That is the number one. Customers started signing up. So before they were telling, your motor does not run at high speeds, it's slightly heavier, all those things. Now we're like, no. So Ravi has an interesting. He always ends with his long arguments with a Kannada saying.
Okay.
We are both Kannadigas. And he always said that the type of food you eat is always dependent on the hunger.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're a hungry man, even a bad food will work. So suddenly the world was hungry for rare earth free motors in April.
Yeah.
And that is when they started speaking to us. The third thing was the government also woke up. Yeah. For the first time in my life, I had never met a minister anytime in my whole life. I'm a techie, I'm in Bangalore and all that. So I got a call on a Saturday afternoon, and he said, I'm the personal secretary to Mr. Goyal. And there's a meeting tomorrow, and my Hindi is not that good. And I made 2 mistakes. My Hindi is not good. By the way, I can perfectly understand and study it Hindi. I can't speak. The second thing was, no offense to the personal secretary, is a very close supporter of us. I thought personal secretary is some person. So again, he called on Saturday night at 8 o'clock and he said, tomorrow you come. And I told him, I broken Hindi, kal Sunday hai 5:30. And he said, what is your problem? I said, okay, no problem. I will fly. So we flew. That is when I realized a personal secretary to a cabinet minister is a very, very senior IAS officer.
Yeah.
I went and told him sorry. He said, no problem. He still supports us. And similarly, we met a lot of people in the government, all the way to the principal scientific advisor, the DST chief, the MHI minister. MHI is a nodal, this one. We really hope to get some support for us to support our technologies, which are rare earth free. Now the government has invested approximately $1 billion into rare earth extraction and manufacturing. We are telling the government that, look, we are also solving the same problem. We are not using rare earths. There's always a technology solution to all problems. Ours is a technology solution. And hopefully we will get that support also. Yeah. Okay. And that was a big change. And we now, because of that ANRF scheme, right, Anusandhan National Research Fund, they are now supporting projects like us. It's getting operationalized this quarter. We hope to get some grants or support from the government. They've indicated, but I've never dealt with the government in a detailed fashion. But
in 2025, all the DeepTech sector combined raised some $1.06 billion in private equity. And this was double of the amount they raised in 2024, right? And including Chara, a lot of deep tech startups raised pre-seed, seed or Series A rounds. But we still don't have investors who can come in Series B, Series C, right? Like,
you're absolutely right. So we'll see the good part. We're not always an optimist. Otherwise, you can't be a startup founder. Yeah. So there is support for pre-seed, seed, pre-Series A and Series A, whichever way you define it. Initial stages, let's say up to $10 million rounds. Beyond that, it is harder in India. We have to look outside. Hopefully that will change. That will change because of 2 reasons. I think some of the funds are now looking at growth stage companies. We have started speaking to them. Then there is always the foreign funds. Then there is always the government support. But you're absolutely right. Series B and above is a little harder from an Indian investor.
Do we have funds that are coming in B and C rounds?
There are a few funds. They come at Series B, but they're the classic growth funds.
Yeah.
They were.
But they are not focused funds. DeepTech.
That is a problem. That is a problem. So now the onus is on people like us, like Chara, saying that, look, this is a business now. It's deep tech that is all cool stuff and hard stuff and all that. Now the onus is on us to show that this is a business and we are here to grow and we have to convince those funds.
Basically building the conviction in growth stage investors who are not focused on deep tech but have the money to invest in.
Absolutely. The bunch of funds who have invested in FMCG, fashion,
consumer,
all those things, right? Now we have to convince them that there is a viable business. And all the deep tech companies typically, without exception, are worldwide businesses because the problems are
everywhere.
Same.
Like how Europe is taking so much interest in Chara.
They were inbound requests. Because there are worldwide problems. Climate is a worldwide problem. Rare earth is a worldwide problem. Hydrogen storage is a worldwide problem. I think that is the bright side. But I think even at the risk of reputation, I think the one advantage we have is India is a large enough economy now. It was not the case when I graduated out of college. We were a poor country. If we did something like that time, we have to look for outside. Now that's not the case. Dude, I will sell in India and then I'll figure out everything, right? Then we can go.
You can start in India, you can sell in India, you can raise early stage fundraise in India and then go out.
I was always questioning why Silicon Valley is so prominent, successful and all of that. A bunch of reasons. But one of the reasons is that they have the customer base to try a new thing. And that is happening in India now.
Like how US is the largest consumer of software.
Correct.
And they are by default the largest producer also, right?
Producer also. And they're related. Because they are a consumer, startups can go sell them. Similarly, for products like ours, there are consumers in India. And that actually is a big deal. So now we have to convince the growth stage investors to go and to invest in companies like us. That is happening slowly. But I'm pretty sure if things continue to go the way India's GDP is growing, I think that's a given. Yeah.
Chara has raised Series A. What are the other deep tech companies that have raised beyond Series A, and what are the funds that have invested? If you can share numbers.
I know of one which is a fellow investee from Kalari, Digantara. They raised a massive Series B, $50 million. That came from outside. With good participation from inside also. That came from outside. I think it's a Japanese investor. I don't know the details. That was one. The rocket company.
Skyroot.
They also have foreign investors, as far as I know, Series B. That is also Arkham had invested earlier.
Yes, Arkham had invested.
Rahul had invested earlier. They also had foreign investors.
Skyroot is also, Agnikul, Skyroot, all these companies are, receiving massive support from government, not just money, the recognition and
absolutely
all the other resources.
Yeah. Actually, that actually is a very welcome change.
And if India gets deep tech right, like across verticals, how would the country look like in 20 years?
So, we have to move up the value chain. So we can't be in the services, we can't be in manufacturing all the time. And the only way to move up the value chain is to invest in technologies, whatever are the next generation technologies. So if you do that right, then there is a good chance that will be a much larger economy than what is being projected. I think we'll continue to be the third largest economy because there's a big difference between the second and third. We'll hit third, I think, by the end of the decade, if nothing goes wrong.
Yeah.
That is number one. And number two is that I know there is the Viksit Bharat and Atmanirbhar Bharat and all that, the big slogans. But we need to control our technology. Otherwise, we'll always be at the mercy of the foreign sources. I think that one is far more important as we grow. As Nandan was telling once, please remember all the things we use like Gmail and social media, they are controlled by American companies. They're not even controlled by the American government. They are American companies. They can shut it off anytime they want.
Yeah.
I think we have to get away from that. So all these things have to happen. Like China has built their own versions of everything, right?
Yes.
Yeah, their
WhatsApp.
their ride hailing, everything. Whenever I go to China, I have to install all the apps. Gmail does not. First time when I went to China, when Gmail and Google did not work, I thought this was some other planet.
Yeah.
But it did not hit me. Once I came back, then it hit me, because they don't have to depend on the US. We are the data centers. I think that is why it is very, very critical that we do all this. And I think if we get all these things right in the next 20 years, I think we will actually be the quote unquote superpower, because we can exert our influence. Yeah. I'm about to say a bad thing, because twice in my life I've been told that India will become a superpower, and we did not. Once in the 80s during Indira Gandhi's time.
Yeah. But we have come a long way.
We have come a long way.
So somehow you have to believe in that thought.
We have come a long way. And our country is complex, diversity, it's not a monolithic society and all that. And democracy is democracy. Yeah. No, we have come a long way.
So if we have any DeepTech founder or any founder in the audience sitting on the DeepTech idea, anything that you would want to say, like how to get everything right, or how to even start, or do it or not?
Okay, I'd not thought about that. I think one is the conviction we need to have, because it's a long drawn process.
Yeah.
I think the conviction is in terms of the problem definition, in terms of the market opportunity, and in terms of that I can actually do this. I think those are the three things that are needed for a deep tech startup. I did not even mention market size or product market fit and all that. I think those three are the ones which, in my experience, sustained us for the first at least 2 years. Right? That conviction that we need to do this, conviction that there is a problem, conviction that, look, I'll build this. We were very sure of building it. Not that we are boasting that we are good engineers, but...
So that's why your conviction was so high that you could get someone like Ravi joining the team,
yes,
who is the best brain in motors, right?
Yeah, best brain. Yeah. So the other thing, again, it's a particular example, because I'm a second-time founder. I think I learned a few things in Ezetap journey, and how to put this correctly. I'm not doing this for the money.
Yeah.
I think that freedom is there. I got some money in my old age, and there are a lot of people who say that what difference has it made to you, to me personally, and all that. I think one of the, and this is a known thing, it just hit me only in the last 2 years. One of the thing money gives you is that it gives you freedom. Yeah, freedom to do things like this. I think why I'm saying, sorry, long story, why I'm saying this is that people who have made money should try these things. That's what I'm trying to say. Especially, I would like to say the second generation, third generation of the big industrial houses. I think they should do this.
So a lot of second-time founders who have made successful exits, or big family offices, should be trying hard problems,
because they have the freedom. They have the financial freedom. Other things will fall in, because if you're always thinking about money, how do I buy my rice and dal next month, it will be a self-defeatist situation. And I think that's what that attitude needs to change. I'm seeing that slowly in some of the family offices, but not all of them.
What are they doing? They're investing more in deep tech startups.
So one of my best example is, there's a company called Sagar Semiconductor. we are trying to use their semiconductors. He's a son of his Ezetap, who was the proprietor of Sagar Cements. Sagar Cements is a large cement factory in Andhra Pradesh. And so they made presumably bunch of money, lots of money, right? Doesn't matter the quantum, right? They have enough money, right? Now his son is doing semiconductors, Sagar Semiconductors. And he came to us. He is classic US educated. He came to us and he said, no, Bhaktha, I'm doing this. Please use my MOSFET is that thing we use in our controller, the most expensive part, most money consuming part. And we are trying them out. And if it becomes a success, we will use their MOSFETs. Now, I don't know whether Sagar Semiconductor will be a success or not. I'm pretty sure they will be. But that is the kind of behavior we need.
So I'm saying
from cements to semiconductors.
Not just investing in deep tech,
Yes.
starting in deep tech.
Starting in deep tech. Because he had the freedom, he has the education. And I think, I almost think they have a responsibility to do that. But who am I to say that? Right? Yeah. And they can also make money if they're successful. Can make only so much money in cement.
But they do say that for second-time founders, that first-time founders solve because they want to make it really big.
Yes.
But second-time journey because they know the pain.
Yes.
They know that it'll be same.
Yeah.
If it is not fundraising, something else.
Yeah.
But the pain will be there. The stress will always be there.
Yeah.
So the second time they do it for purpose.
Correct. And then
But
purpose.
it's not family office.
Correct. So I think that should come from the family offices also, I believe. And I've seen some examples of it. This is the example I know because they're trying to come and sell our MOSFETs. And I wholeheartedly support him. And I really wish that those MOSFETs come out of that factory in Andhra Pradesh.
Yeah. Let's go back to our journey conversation about Chara. Like what's the state now? How much motors we are making? What are our customers? Revenue, any number you can share?
Thanks for asking that. We are at the classic inflection point. We have developed the technology. We have the product market fit. We have the customer traction. Our only problem is to sell, manufacture and deploy, both in India and outside India. This year is our real revenue start. Last year we made a little bit of revenue. We sold a few hundred motors, generated about 1 crore of rupees. This financial year, which is ending next month, right? Yeah, in a month, we will be shipping about a few thousand motors. This month we'll be doing about 350 motors. Next month we'll be doing 500 motors, and we continue to increase. So we are at that stage where the technology we developed has become a reality, and we're shipping against revenue. Of course, aided by the geopolitical tailwinds. Yeah, that's where we are.
Quite an exciting time.
Oh, this is the most exciting time. This is the hardest time for me because in my heart, I like to think I'm still an engineer. So now we have to deal with money, we have to deal with operations, we have to deal with support. We are growing the team. We have hired a CFO, we hired a COO.
You have to solve for scale now.
You have to solve for scale. So the entropy levels are so high in the company. It is the most exciting time. But I also think that next year will be a decisive year for us. If we don't grow very big, we will stall. Yeah, we won't die, but we will stall.
Why do you think so?
So it has been 6 years and, employees, investors start getting antsy. And for good reasons. Even I get antsy, dude, when do I see this end for this? End not in like an exit, but end like, dude, I want to see the motors deployed. And that is why we need to deploy this 10,000 motors or 12,000 motors next year. There is a very good chance. It's just execution now. If we don't do that, then people will slowly start losing confidence, right? See, I always think of only 3 people: investors, customers, and employees, right? And the order keeps changing depending on the time of the year. Sometimes the investors are important, sometimes the employees are important.
Yeah,
all the time customers are important. Yeah. So it's critically the customers and the employees right now. Because employees also have worked hard, long. For them, the biggest satisfaction is to deploy these motors and go to the next level. Customers are also like watching us. There's a new technology, and they also want to see the large deployment. And then it will be like the classic flywheel, right? We put it in motion, and that's why it's important.
So, Bhaktha, India's startup success was built on software because The tech talent was available, funding was available, and it was exact opposite for DeepTech. It was hard to even explain to investors. Let's just talk about that. Like, how do you now see the next 5 years for, let's just say, for Chara? Like, fundraising will be a bit easier, or hiring will be a bit easier.
Correct. So, now we are at a stage at Chara where we are not considered deep tech. We are doing a deep tech work, but now it's a business. We have to show revenue.
Yeah.
And all our efforts are towards that. We'll continue to invest in technology. We'll continue to invest in new products. But our challenge is to grow. So our next 5-year journey is only about execution, selling, operations, managing their money and all that. And if we do this, the growth, what we have projected, I think there's a huge amount of support. Investors have come and spoken to us. We keep talking to them on a continuous basis now. People come and talk to us for various reasons. One of them is, of course, their rare earth story. And now they also realize that we are a growth stage company. And if we show the growth, I think there's a huge opportunity. I don't think we'll ever be starved for funds if we execute well. That signaling has come very, very clearly.
That's why you said the next 1 year is very, very important.
Critical.
Because if you execute well in the next 1 year, it'll solve all the problems.
It'll solve all the problems.
There
Customer
will be
problems.
excitement among customers.
Yes, employees.
Employees will be encouraged, motivated, because what they are doing, they can clearly see the impact of their work.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then, of course, the investors also will see the growth and invest. Even irrespective of the rare earth situation, we don't know, China might become good and all that. Yeah. So irrespective of that, we will...
From sustainability,
control our technology. Because someday, we always know that we are under the control of a foreign entity, which is not good, especially as we grow bigger. Right? We can't afford to do that. And that's why the government is investing. At least the signaling is there from the government.
Yes.
I think it's not enough, but at least it's there.
And let's talk about Intel. You have worked with Intel. At one point in time, Intel was a clear leader in chips. Now NVIDIA is a leader in AI. ARM is leader in mobile. Similarly, TSMC is leader in manufacturing. Intel lost on all three grounds. Like, why do you think it couldn't,
I have to laugh first. We've discussed this so much. I left Intel, I forget, 20 years ago. Worked in US for about 11 years and 1 year in Intel India. Feel extremely sorry to say this state of Intel now.
Yeah.
When we used to go to conferences at ISSEC, the International Semiconductor Conference, Intel was always the first paper to be presented. And the hall used to be full. Because Intel used to tell, this is the way semiconductors are built in the 90s. And now it's not. TSMC has you're absolutely right about TSMC has taken over in manufacturing. NVIDIA and ARM have taken over in the product. This one. Not sure why it happened. A bunch of reasons. One is that I think success breeds laziness. Intel was minting money in the 90s. So I think that led to some behavioral changes at the company level. So I was in the mobile division. Intel was planning to build mobility chips. Intel made a large acquisition of $2 billion then in the late 90s, acquired a company called DSPC from Israel. We all went to Israel, did the due diligence, and I was in that group. And Intel never put the mind share into the mobile chips. Now, a lot of things I can't disclose, obviously, but publicly, whatever is publicly known, Apple came to Intel to build the iPhone chip. And Intel said no. Yeah. and it's like, I don't know, $1 trillion mistake or $100 billion mistake. And the reason was very clear for Intel. The ASP, average selling price of the processors we were selling at that time was about $225, $225 then, so it must be like $1,000 now, right, in equivalent money. Yeah, I'm talking about 20 years ago, in the early 2000s. And the ASP of the processors that go into the mobile phone that time was about $12, $15. So Intel looked at $200, $12, like, no, this one. That vision was not there, that the thing is going to change. Similarly, in graphics, in GPUs, what we call as GPUs. GPUs are being used in the AI chips, right?
Yeah.
Again, this is public knowledge. Intel ran a very large, very famous program called Larabi. And again, lost interest because they could not see the commercialization of that. But this little company, NVIDIA, was doing graphics chips, supplying graphics chips, but they figured out that it's also a little bit of luck for them, that the AI needed the GPUs for training and inference. But Intel never had a product. So I think it was clearly lack of coherent strategy, looking beyond. Intel had enough money. I mean, GMs used to say, we don't know what to do with the money.
So we are towards the end of the conversation. So my last question to you is that, what do you know about yourself that made you keep choosing difficult? Like, it is a difficult space, we know, right? It took you 6 years just to reach the product market fit or product.
Yes.
You knew that market is there, but reach that level of product, right? And a lot of years in R&D, building conviction in investors. So this is definitely the hard or difficult choice to make. So what did you discover about yourself? Like, you are made to choose.
It's more than discovery. Even I've started to learn. The discovery part is that I didn't tell, my family tells, my wife tells that, and I've slowly started realizing that I think if I lock onto a target, I'll never let it go. Yeah. Whatever small it is, I'll make it happen. So because just like, sorry, no offense, most wives, they keep telling, do this, do that, and I never do it. And I'll tell her, it's too hard, I have to call that guy and all. My wife always says, no, if you want to do it, you'll do it in half hour. I think that was one discovery about myself, that I said, what, I think I have that, whatever, that grit or the focus. The other thing is I have to learn a lot of things. The main thing is the art of storytelling, narratives, right? The difference between a leader and not a leader is the art of storytelling. Yeah. Jesus apparently was the greatest storyteller. I don't have proof for that. Lord Krishna was a big storyteller. Yeah, the storytelling is a part. And I have honed it very, very, but doing it many, many times by this one and identifying the problem. I think that is core. And long ago, one of our profs from UVC had told that there are phases in life for an engineer. You're born, of course, not born an engineer. You're a student. Then you ideally become an apprentice. Internship and all that. Then you'll be an employee for about 2 to 3 decades. Then he said this in the convocation. He said, all of you should try to become an employer, not retire as an employee. That was one more thing that stuck in my mind. Maybe I should also become an employer, generate jobs. I think that also gave me a push. I think not very clear. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah.
This makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I think that's a good, this one he gave.
Because the kind of opportunity you get to do that apprenticeship makes a lot of difference.
Yeah.
Like, it creates a huge impact or gives you that kind of clear understanding what you want to do next.
Yes. I've been told, I don't know, that Germany does this systematically. So you never get a job after you graduate. You do that apprenticeship, which is typically like internship. Low pay, you learn. I think you should do that.
Like, you're not there for money, you are there for just
learning.
For understanding.
Right. And you get paid some money. I think that one, if we do it systematically, I think we'll be far better builders, all of us, right? In whatever you do, whether it is doing a show like this or building the next gen motors, same thing, right? Yeah.
Because you don't get that kind of training, but you need the training to do something or anything,
Yeah.
right? So you somehow, like for us, this podcast, it's a great learning mechanism.
Absolutely.
Because you don't get time to sit and learn.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So you need that, like for this interview, I dedicated some 4-5 hours to, just to read about Chara, read about Bhaktha, Ravi.
I was really surprised on all the data you said. I said, oh my God, you actually done research.
So when I was researching, reading, I was thinking that if I don't do podcasts, there would never be a time when I'm, sitting and reading about a startup which has no relationship with Neon.
Yeah. That is one point I want to tell. I know somebody told me, and maybe it's a well-known technique. The technique is that always meet a person, one every week, by the way. It's slightly tough though. One every week who is not doing what you do. So like an artist, like an auto driver, like a pilot, and typically from all strata of the society, you actually learn a lot. So I met this a national level Bharatanatyam dancer. I went to his performance. He's like out of the world, right? He renders a song, and we can actually see that song being rendered, right? But then one day I went to his home and he was practicing in his normal clothes, like just a pajama and a kurta, and no accompaniment, no stage, nothing. And I actually thought that dance was better than this dance on the stage. And I asked him, his name is Satyanarayana, yes, local guy, Satya, like, I like this dance better than your dance on the stage. He said, no. He said, every time I dance, I think this is my last dance.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I learned is that every time I present, right, like this or anywhere, I always think we should put our 100% effort. Does not matter. Does not matter about the outcome. He was dancing to nobody. I think things like this we learn from non-professional, our profession, right? Whatever is your profession. Yeah. So things like that. I think I try to make it, but it's hard. Time is hard.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Nancy.
Spending
nice
time.
talking to you.
Yes.